Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. And of course, joining me here today, Jason Cameron. We get to do a great weekend breakdown of sports. And I got to have a great Saturday, 7.5 hours of UFC viewing over at your humble abode. And we had an awesome time watching UFC 300. Wow, what a card that was. It lived up to the hype and was phenomenal. Once the UFC finished, we got to do a WrestleMania marathon too. So,
Yes.
oh, what a hell of a great Saturday. It set me up for one of the best weekends I had in a long time. So, thanks for having me over. And I'm glad that for once, something lived up to the massive hype that it had thrown upon it over the past months.
Yes. And first off, I want to say thanks for coming over. Because when I thought about seeing the UFC 300, you were the first person I thought of seeing it with, to be honest with you.
Nice.
So I
You
wanted
too.
to see it with you. I wanted us to have a chat as we're seeing it. And I just want to experience possibly the greatest UFC card that they've ever put on.
Yeah.
And guess what? It was. It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. It was stacked from top to bottom. We've never seen them be able to put on that many great cards or that fights on a card. Two former champions leading it off in the early prelims. You and I remarked right away, wow, the building is already full. And
Yep.
they use some old school intros that we haven't
Oh,
seen in years. They had
yes.
incredible lighting, amazing photography. Some of those shots that we were seeing from up high and how many people had their phones out recording it. And,
Yeah.
it was just the production was so huge. They spent a ton of money. They really gave everybody their money's worth. And I don't think anybody that tuned in on the weekend there to watch that went away unhappy.
Yeah, man. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, even Bruce Buffer did a wardrobe change. I noticed that.
Yeah.
Prelim, he had a prelim blazer, then he had a main card blazer. That's how big the show was. That's
Yeah.
how big it was. And like just the production value. There was a pageantry to it that
Yeah.
I absolutely loved. And I loved how it just went down the line of showing the history of the UFC. And they
Yeah.
showed the history through the audio, they showed it through the visual, through the video, they showed it through the vignettes of the fighters. Those are with us and those are passed on.
Yeah.
Like it was fantastic. It really was well put together, well thought out, and well executed.
Yeah. They even had the Hall of Fame announcement that Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva, their epic battle that Anderson won with a late triangle choke. It made the Hall of Fame now, and that really hyped the crowd up, and everybody was just in their seats early, and fight after fight after fight delivered, but none delivered more than the BMF title fight. I've been not that thrilled with a kind of a fake belt that gets created, not a weight class belt, just a belt that they decide to throw in there. It sort of reminded me too much of WWE, other wrestling promotions and things, but now I understand why you have something like that. You're
Yeah.
able to
Oh
pull
yeah.
in fighters, different weight classes, just guys that are willing to just throw down, throw caution to the wind, and just deliver an amazing performance. And Dana White in his post-fight press conference says, a lot of people ask me what I do, and one of the things I always say is, I'm in the business to give people holy shit moments, and that was the ultimate holy shit moment when Max Holloway was able to knock out Justin Gaethje. He pointed to the center of the cage and he said, let's go. And they just started swinging. And 2 seconds left, he connects on Gaethje's face, put him to the canvas, 1 second left, and he walks away a winner. $600,000 bonus. And it was spectacular. Something I'll never forget. You and I had that holy shit moment where high-fiving and jumping up and screaming and you know, sorry to your neighbors, but that was a hell of a moment.
Yeah, you know what? Neighbors understood. They understood.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm always going to see it. And also, too, Max Holloway didn't have to do that. Yes, Gaethje had his moments in that fight, but Max Holloway was clearly winning that fight.
Yeah, big time.
And clearly winning that fight, and he still called him on.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the nature of this belt. The
Yeah.
BMF belt, that literally Max Holloway epitomized the nature of that belt, which is, well, one of us can't just walk out of here. That can't happen.
Yeah.
And so when he called him on, and that was Gaethje's chance to win this fight.
Sure.
Like Max Holloway literally gave him a chance to win the fight.
Yeah.
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 But it didn't really work out so well for him. And it was one of the greatest endings to a ridiculously like entertaining fight I've ever seen. It was the greatest ending I've ever seen to the end of a fight.
Yeah, I've been to lots of events live, and to be honest, almost every single one has one of those moments. Sometimes it doesn't translate to the TV, and while you're in your living room or you're at a bar watching it with your buds or your family. But often I've been to events and just saw like, wow. And even on the regional circuit, there's been times where I'm looking around like, is everybody just feeling how great this is? Holy cow. And it's usually when guys just throw down and just there's no defense. It's just let's go toe to toe, rock'em sock'em robots. And I think when Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin had that moment back in the Ultimate Fighter, when it really just seemed to transform the sport, was one of those types of moments where you could tell that they were just giving their all, and there's no defense. It was just, I'm gonna throw, hopefully I land before he does, and I'm gonna be showing giving the fans what they want. And there's a lot of footage during that fight where you're looking around, they show Chuck Liddell and he's just like, hey guys, this is why we love this sport. They show Dana White, they show people in the crowd, they show like, holy crap, look at this. And this is the showcase of it. And, there probably wasn't that many UFC cards that had more eyeballs on than that one. So I think that's going to really, shoot the sport up even farther than it ever has been.
Yeah, I think that fight alone elevated the sport.
Yeah.
I think that fight alone made sure that there's a couple more million fans of the UFC, and also too, it was the reactions of all the professional fighters that were there in the front row. You see their real reactions and you're just like, what are you kidding? Like, just seeing their reactions.
Yeah. That was
just brilliant. Our reactions.
That was really brilliant of the production to do that, because they often show Joe Rogan, Daniel Cormier, they show their reactions, and it's fun to see, but they went down the line and showed tons of fighters that were in the crowd close to the octagon and their reaction, and every single one of them had their mouth open yelling, holy shit, wow, dude, did you see that? And high-fiving each other, and that's a testament to what they thought, and the guys that have been in there in battles, and it was just one of those moments that I'm so glad we were able to witness live and together, and we're going to be talking about it for years to come. And it's cool that somebody suggested, hey, let's increase the bonuses. And I think, that might have even played into it, because there was that extra $300,000 bonus. And then Holloway grabs the mic. No, 600,000. Come on. And that's what he got. And, Dana White stepped up. And I think the UFC will probably change a little bit too, because, you might as well have some cards that have that bang right from the start, have the real early prelims and prelims having really kick-ass amazing matchups, right from the beginning.
I think so too. I think so too. And I think for some of the major pay-per-views that go on now into the future,
Yeah.
bring up those fight bonuses. You know what I mean? Because since now the fighters have that incentive, because that's transformative money now. That's real transformative money.
Yeah.
And so people are willing to put it more on the line than most times, right? By the way, with the Holloway Gaethje fight, I don't know if they still bring out those locker room bonuses, but those two men deserve double. If Holloway got 600, he should have got paid 1.2. And if Gaethje only got 300, he deserves 600,000. That's how good those fights were.
Yeah.
Like you need both fighters to fight like that to make it like that. And they both brought it. They both brought it.
Yeah, and you know, that's one thing that I always loved about the early UFCs was the skill level wasn't as high as it is today, and the defense wasn't there, and this coaching and you know the well-roundedness. There was a lot of fighters that really didn't know how to fight on the ground, so they were just throwing as quick and fast as possible, so the fight didn't have a chance to go to the ground. There was a lot of you know, guys that just didn't know how to defend, so they were like getting hit a lot, and you know it was zombie-like. But now the skill level is this high, we're not seeing as many of these spectacular moments, and we're not seeing guys throwing caution to the wind. Max Holloway's definitely had won 4 rounds of that fight, if not 5, and you know, for him to take that risk, giving Gaethje that opportunity to land a shot too was very, very cool and spectacular.
It was just it. I would almost say it's unprecedented, but we've seen him do it before.
Yeah,
we've seen Max Holloway do it before, and that's why he is the ultimate BMFer. Maybe he is the ultimate guy because he has done it before, and guess what? That guy will do it again. And if I were Ilya Topuria, the look that he had on his face was one of, ooh, that's not good.
That's funny. I've actually heard some people over the last couple of days talk about how Topuria's reaction, and it was strange. Usually, you know, when they show a fighter and they call him out and they show him in the crowd right away, he's like, "All right, bring it on, yeah." And that was not him in any fashion at all. And I don't know if he got caught off guard. I don't know if he didn't hear what was being said, but yeah, his reaction sure was muted, and it didn't look like he was excited for that fight anyway.
He didn't look like he was excited for that fight because he just said to him, I think it was almost like he thought to himself, if I gotta fight that dude, that guy's gonna be actually a problem.
Yeah.
Like, and I think he realized it when he saw that happen, and he saw like that's legendary stuff right there.
Yeah.
That's a guy that just cemented a legend. That's a guy that just basically said, this is why I'm a Hall of Famer. I don't know why you are, but this is why I am one. Right? And I think Topuria saw all of that and said, okay, I'm going to have to fight that guy. Yeah, okay. Problem.
Yeah, Max Holloway has had an absolutely amazing career and, you know, had so many great fights, but I don't think he was ever better. And his speed was incredible. I'm shocked that he could withstand the leg kicks that he took. His leg was beat up. I saw a picture of it. It had some really serious bruises and swelling, and you know, he just weathered through that and was able to keep at it. And yeah, he goes down as a legend. I love it when a guy has such a decorated career and they're you know, super popular, but then they just take it to another level with an incredible performance with that. Like Jorge Masvidal comes to mind when he knocked out Ben Askren. I think of guys where they're just coasting along, and all of a sudden, bam! I've seen Charles Oliveira recently, you know, do that. Dustin Poirier have that moment. Nate Diaz was in his brother's shadow for a long time and had wins and losses, and then he beats Conor McGregor, and all of a sudden, you know, one of the most popular guys in the sport. And it's pretty amazing to see guys change their lives just by, you know, just throwing down and just saying, hey, I'm willing to die here. I'm willing to get knocked out. Let's entertain, and then that's what they did.
That's what they did, and a lot of people counted like Holloway out because of his losses to Volkanovski, who, by the way, people, one of the best fighters on the planet.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the best fighters on the planet.
Yeah.
And so when he lost to him multiple times, everyone's like, well, I guess that's it for Holloway. Not exactly.
No.
Not exactly.
Lots of fighters have a kryptonite type of guy, and
Yeah.
Volkanovski, I think, is that guy. If you take the Volkanovski losses out of his record, he has won, I think, 17 or 18 out of his last 19 fights. So, incredible run he's been on, and just took it to that level. And yeah, it's awesome. It was so great. And that card, like I said, the hype behind it was huge. It's amazing that, those 100, 200, and 300 have been just, something that the fans sort of said, hey, you got to do something special. You got to do something special. And the UFC saying, yeah, I think so. Yeah, maybe we should. And there's actually been, I don't think there's been 300 pay-per-views. I think there's been a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. There's been a few got canceled. There's been, they had a half one. They had a few different ones. So, but it was just a number there that everybody said, you got to really, really step it up and make it big. And they did, and the fighters delivered, and we get what we saw.
Yeah, exactly. The fighters delivered, though. That most importantly, the fighters delivered, and most importantly, all the fights happened.
Yeah,
all the fights happened.
That's true. Yeah,
yeah, and that was another amazing thing that happened, is that all the fights happened. Although I think all the fighters knew, it's like, I got to be on this one if I'm going to really make the money. I gotta be healthy. So
yeah, that was great to see, and let's hope that happens a lot more, because we're getting so many fights canceled, and late replacements are coming in, and it's just not delivering the same kind of quality. If you get two fighters that are perfectly matched together, and at their prime, at their best, with full training camps and stuff, I wish a lot of fighters would scale it back. That second last week, and then that last week, no sparring, no training, just I'm ready, I'm gonna go in healthy. And we're missing way too many fights that we've been excited and waiting for, and 2, 3, 4, 5 fights a card are falling off. With this one, everybody wanted to make sure they were there, and they were there. So let's just make that a goal and a must-have for every card.
And also, too, we've talked about this before. There's certain fighters that, and this happened on this card, where they're pushing their body too far to the extreme in the weight cutting. True. I think maybe the UFC should institute a rule that if they feel that you have gone too far, then you can't fight at that weight anymore. Yeah. Because you put your health at risk. Sure. You put yourself at risk. Sure. And I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good for the sport, because if somebody passes away because of that, that's not good for anybody.
No, it's gonna be bad. Yeah. Definitely Kayla Harrison, yes. We'll get to in a few minutes. She shouldn't be cutting that much weight. She said the last time she was at that weight was when she was 16-year-old girl. And it's not good to be having to almost kill yourself to make the weight and make the fight. Let's talk about the main event that happened here. Alex Pereira, a guy that was cutting way too much weight as he went down to middleweight, and but he ended up getting the belt, was able to have a spectacular beginning to his career, but then realized that his body's too big and it's too brutal on him, decided to go up to light heavyweight, won the belt by beating Jiri Prochazka, and then had a former champion come in and face him on Saturday night, and Jamal Hill, who had only lost one fight in his career and had looked spectacular doing so. And Alex Pereira delivered again, had a spectacular fight, and gets the knockout win again early on in this fight. And man, this guy is scary, incredible, and very, very, very decorated MMA career already.
Yeah, he's a monster. Like every time I see his fists, they don't look like they belong to a human being. It looks like they're ham hocks. They're just massive pieces of skin and bone and muscle that just keep hammering away at you. And also too, I love the fact that he got a low blow kick from Hill.
Yeah.
Goddard wanted to step in.
Herb, it was Herb Dean.
So Herb Dean.
Yeah.
Pereira puts that huge mid out and says no. And then Herb's like, oh, okay, continue. Yeah. and then when Pereira did that shovel uppercut, yeah. There's one thing that was shown to, like, somebody noticed it on Instagram. And I didn't notice it then, but I noticed it once they pointed that out. Pereira actually stepped on his lead foot.
Oh, wow.
So he couldn't get away.
Wow.
And then punched him.
Damn.
And then that's when Hill's eyes rolled in the back of his head, because I think he thought, what was that?
What's his head? Yeah. Yeah, because it wasn't the most flush uppercut that I've ever seen, but it definitely sent him, into the Tweety Bird zone, and you could see his eyes roll back, and he fell down, and the beginning was the end almost right then and there, and it's crazy because he didn't connect full on square on. To be able to knock a guy that big and that powerful down with a shot that's kind of even just a glancing blow, it's incredible.
Yeah, and they did show that there's that machine that tests your power, right? And Francis Ngannou having the strongest punch, or he did.
He used to, yeah.
He used to, until Pereira hit it. And he not just beat Francis in power, he beat him by a lot.
Yeah.
Like by a lot. So you're just like, okay, so that's the guy that if he hits you, it's going to be you're in a lot of trouble. Like a lot of trouble. And that's what happened to Hill.
Yeah. Yeah. Impressive. Amazing. It's, he's only 12 fights into his MMA career. He's already won the belt in 2 weight classes, has defended it, and is just looking like a world beater. I don't know who he takes on next. I was kind of looking at the rankings thinking, okay, what is he, who should be next? And I thought Magomed Ankalaev, possibly, Jan Blachowicz. I wasn't sure, where he would go next. Jiri, a second time, possibly. I don't know, but he said he wants to jump up to heavyweight and he wants to capture a 3rd belt. That's a scary proposition. Imagine if he does that. That'll be unprecedented. And he's having to fight guys like Jones, Aspinall, some of those killers. Dana White kind of squashed it and said, I don't know if that's the right approach for his career here, but he's that's one of his goals, he says, and I wouldn't bet against him.
I definitely wouldn't bet against him, because if there's one thing he has that the heavyweights have, is power. Yeah. He's got the power to knock anybody out in the UFC. Like, it doesn't matter what weight category it is, he has the power to do that. So if he wants to go up to heavyweight and just knock people out, he can do that. He can do, and he would be the first person to ever be champion in 3 different weight categories, which would be just literally, okay, you are a monster. You are the definition of a monster.
Yeah. So when you look at the rankings, Jamal Hill sits number 1. Yuri Prochazka, who is always already beat, sits number 2. Magomed Ankalaev is 3. Jan Blachowicz is 4. Rakic, who just got beat by Prochazka on the weekend, is 5. Nikita Krylov 6. Johnny Walker, and then down. They're not going to give too many chances to guys that far down. So, he's running out of guys. Ankalaev had an opportunity, kind of hasn't impressed in his last couple performances. Blachowicz might be getting a little old. He might have already kind of walked himself out of that division. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, no, it is. It is kind of crazy because it's almost like, well, he's oddly enough, it's almost like he's already fought everybody. Like it's like, or those people are just not on his level. Like, so if they were to fight, it's going to be just another short night.
Yeah,
it's going to be another short night. So
I wonder if they would bring him in or he would even accept the fight in the heavyweight division with a guy that's in the top 5, but not contending for the next opportunity. Maybe like a Cyril Gane, Sergey Pavlovich, Alexander Volkov, Jalton Almeida. I don't know who else. We can go down to Rosenstrike, Lewis. I don't know, but it's crazy. I was pretty surprised when he mentioned that he would like to get a 3rd belt, and he might be the first guy to ever do it.
Yeah, and he has the skill set to do it.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that could possibly pull off literally the impossible, it's him. It's him.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the co-main event. This was a heck of a great fight as well. First time that we had 2 Chinese fighters facing off against each other. This was the women's strawweight fight. Weili Zhang against Zhang Zhounan. And I heard Dana White say that the UFC was actually trending in China over about a 4-day period. And he said to do that is pretty shocking. He said it's been hard for the UFC to get traction in China. And he thinks that they've maybe just broken over that wall a little bit and really started to make some serious inroads. And he thinks a Chinese card is coming soon. And both these girls, super tough. I was pretty impressed with both of them. And this turned out to be a heck of a fight.
It was a heck of a fight because you could say possibly there was a little bit of controversy because at the end of the 2nd round, where it looked like Zhang literally won the fight because
choked her out,
choked her unconscious, like slightly unconscious. Her kicking her body, I shouldn't say lifeless body, unconscious body off of her, woke her up.
Might have,
And then she kind of and then she came back to life.
Yeah.
But her literally pushing her off woke Zhounan up.
Yeah. It was pretty bizarre and controversial for sure. Jason Herzog, I think they should make a rule. I don't know if they've ever even considered this rule, but I don't think the referee should be able to touch her, hold her, pull her up at all. I think the referee should not be able to put the hands on the fighter and keep just observing. Is she going to be able to stand up on her own? Because it seemed like he kind of helped her to stand up, first of all. Then when she went into her corner, the cut man asked one of the officials, hey, can I wake her up with some smelling salts? And I think they said yes. And so he gave her the smelling salts and woke her up. She was still asleep, walking to her corner, sitting on the stool, and he was able to wake her up with that. I don't think that should be allowed either.
No, there's a lot of things that we're just like, oh, that's a first. That's a first. Like, sometimes where you just don't have these situations come about because it just never happened. Yeah. Then you don't know what's allowed and what's not allowed. But now that this has happened, now they can make some rules about it, which is
Yeah.
Okay, so if a person is unconscious, should the fight be over?
Yeah.
Once the round is over, once the round is ended, and if they're not, and they're still kind of not with it, should you be allowed to bring them back to life with smelling salts?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't
I don't
think
think
so.
so.
I think that could set a dangerous precedent.
Yeah,
You know, we've always heard about concussion problems in NFL when we watched it, in the NHL, other
yeah,
sports, and they say that one concussion too close to another concussion can really actually magnify the problems and make
yeah,
it feel like it's, you know, three, four concussions instead of one or two there. And so, you know, having a concussion, actually getting thrown back in there, and that's one of the reasons why boxing has become a lot more dangerous over the years than MMA is, because a lot of times the guy will get knocked down, he'll be concussed, they'll give him a standing 8 count, and they'll send him back in there, and he
yeah,
battles for another few rounds. He gets knocked down again, concussed again, send him back in there, and you know that can compound on a guy. And you know, boxing has suffered three, four, five, seven deaths a year in lots of years because of that. And I like that mixed martial arts, when a person's choked out or they're knocked unconscious, usually that's it. Fight over. You can fight another day. And so, you know, I think they better go back to the rules board and put some things in place so we don't see somebody getting concussed like this badly and sent back in there and having to endure 3 more rounds of a serious battle with a concussion like that.
yeah, absolutely. But with that being said, Zhao Nan, once she did wake back up, she fought her ass off.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
really did.
very
I you could
impressively.
you could argue that the third round that she won that round.
Yeah,
That she won that round. She kept her away with powerful side kicks. She was better on the feet, and I would say that Zhang was actually trying to recover because of the fact that she burnt out her arms
yeah,
trying to go for the submissions.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can tell Whaley definitely was very tired. And
yeah,
through those middle rounds, she was really having to try to recover.
yeah,
She went for the knockout and the submission, wasn't able to get it. I was impressed with the heart, desire for both of them. They had to
yes,
overcome so much, both of them.
yeah,
And it ended up being a great battle that Whaley ended up winning in a
yeah,
decision,
yeah,
49-45 on 3 cards, because all 3 judges gave a 10-8 for one of the rounds. And yeah, I loved it. Great to see 2 women that have all the heart in the world facing each other. And yeah, this will be a fight that I remember as well for a really long time.
yeah. Both women showed a lot of heart, a lot of will, and a lot of skill,
Yeah,
and it was a great fight. And again, it resonated with the Chinese fans for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I hope they do put a Chinese card on and both these
Yeah,
fighters get an opportunity on that card. It would be great. I started to look at what's next for Wei Li. I think Tatiana Suarez is the logical person next. She's 10-0 in her in her career, 6-0 in the UFC, and on a really great trajectory. I think her wrestling skills and her grappling skills will be phenomenal. And she's ranked number 2. Yan was number 1. Amanda Lemos is number 3, but she's already beat her.
yeah,
And Jessica Andrade is number 4, and Wei Li's already beat her. So Tatiana Suarez, I think that's the match to make, and make it in China sometime later on this year.
yeah. No, that would be the match to make for sure. Tatiana would be the fight for like because Whaley's already beaten up everybody else.
Yeah. Um, The only other thing I want to mention right now off that BMF fight that happened before this co-main was that Justin Gaethje had a broken nose at the end of that first round, and he
Yep.
fought 4 more rounds with a severely broken nose, even that much more of a warrior that had to endure that and still kept coming.
Yeah, he still kept coming. And Max had a new weapon to his arsenal. That spinning back kick was
Yeah,
money for the
amazing,
entirety of that fight. He never missed with that strike. He
amazing.
never missed. And it hurt Gaethje numerous times in that fight as well.
Yeah, and I love seeing Mark Coleman come in, put the belt around. He had a great grand entrance with his daughters, and was able to be cage side when the belt was about to be placed on Holloway. He was in there. Great to see the godfather of ground and pound, one of the first heavyweight champions of the sport, a guy that just saved his elderly parents from a fire, almost perished himself from smoke inhalation, and he's really becoming back to being a huge fan favorite. A lot of fans never saw Mark Coleman fight, don't know much about him, but go back and look into his history. Just definitely one of the pioneers of the sport, and great to see how much recognition he's getting after huge heroic act of bravery and just one of the good guys from the early days of the UFC.
Yeah, one of the good guys, one of the best guys, hero. But the one thing I really enjoyed was just to see his utter joy at seeing that fight
Yeah.
and knowing it's just like, I've been in there, buddy, but I don't know if even I've ever done anything like that. Like he was excited, he was jacked.
Yeah.
He felt it just like everybody else did.
I loved it. Um, okay, we mentioned the 300K given to both fighters for fight of the night. 300K was also given to Jiri Prochazka. We'll talk about that fight in a second. And also Dana White said, I'm taking care of another bunch of fighters too. He didn't say the money, but I'm sure it's tens of thousands of dollars. He also handed out to for the fighters. Davison Figueiredo, um, Money Moicano, Diego Lopes, and Kayla Harrison all got bonuses as well. Not official money was told, but Dana White was being extra generous and made sure that it wasn't just going to be those 300,000 checks handed out. It was also bonuses to the other fighters that did great on the card.
As it should have been. As it should have been, because everybody contributed to making this particular card special.
Yeah.
And it was special.
Dana White said the attendance was 20,067 sold out T-Mobile Arena. 16.5 million gate. That was their third highest gate in UFC history. And they made a ton of money. He said that also the building was funny because it was so electric early, and then for the Holloway Gaethje fight, it just reached a crescendo. And then he said it seemed like right after there was a bit of an adrenaline dump, and everybody was just like exhausted, and the cheering wasn't fully there anymore because everybody was just totally out of it after seeing such a great card up to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine because I felt it.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know if I got anything more to give. Like I didn't know if I did.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, that's something that I really hope the UFC can figure out. I love it, but it's gonna be hard for definitely a lot of people to dedicate 7.5 hours on a Saturday to a sport. A lot of team sports, they're trying to condense them down. The NHL has tried to speed it up so it fits into a 3 hour window at the maximum. A lot of sports are trying to condense it because it's harder and harder to keep younger people's attention. And that's 3 hours. This is talking about 2.5 times that. You're trying to keep people engaged and in there. And I think it's too long. I think they need to figure out how to try to get that lower and lower and lower. 7.5 hours on a Saturday night. I think it's not going to be. Most people aren't going to be able to give that time.
No, most people aren't, because most people aren't like dedicated fans like that, right? Like, and it is tough, like, because we went through it, 7.5 hours, joyful for us, but
Yeah.
for others,
Yeah.
it might be a little bit of a grind.
Boxing has always been, I think, a lot worse. I think there's long, like half an hour, 45 minutes between fights. UFC is pretty good at getting them into the cage quite quickly after a fight. And I felt like this was kind of the case in this one out of the 14 fights. But I think they have to figure out ways to even make it shorter and quicker, and it'll be better. But you'll get more fans that'll be able to stay throughout. I talked to a couple guys over the week over today and yesterday, and they said, yeah, I tapped out. I couldn't make it. I missed the end. And I wish they would have maybe started later, but I said to them, you got to tune in right from the beginning, because that's that's how stacked they've made it. But I wish maybe they would have tuned in a little late or tapped out partway through, came back. I don't know, but I was sad that some of them missed that BMF title fight.
No, then that's their loss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if there's the one fight that you really actually wanted to watch, it was that one. It was that one.
Yeah. I loved that they put some statistics up too at the beginning of the night. They had so far out of those UFC 300 pay-per-views, they've had 3,166 fights, 324 world title fights in 11 different countries and 77 different cities. And it was great how much Megan O'Leary kept bringing up all the history, and we mentioned the old school intros. I hope those aren't gone. I hope they keep incorporating that. I think that harkens back to the early days and the way this sport was built, and it's great to see a lot of those moments. And definitely this Holloway Gaethje moment should be included right near the top when they start showing highlights.
Oh yeah, man. Like that's just a part of the annals and part of the history, part of the awesome history of the UFC. And again, yes, I totally agree with you. They should throw out the old school every once in a while, because it was just awesome to hear it. It was awesome to hear it, and it was awesome to see it.
Yeah. I think this is already fight of the year, and I don't know how the fight is going to be able to knock it off its perch. So hopefully there will be some more that might, but it's gonna be almost impossible to outdo that fight. Okay, let's start blasting through the rest of it. We had a really interesting lightweight battle between Charles Oliveira, number 1 ranked in the lightweight division, against number 4 ranked Arman Tsarukyan, two of the best fighters in the world. And this was a great battle as well. Arman Tsarukyan ended up getting the decision victory, and in impressive fashion. I was quite surprised. I definitely thought Oliveira was going to win this, and you thought Arman was the guy.
Yeah, I did, but it was super close. Yeah. It was a very, very hotly, closely contested fight. Oliveira almost had him in a tight guillotine choke in round 1.
Wow, was that a tight?
Yeah. It was super tight, and I think it took everything in Tsarukyan to get out of that, which he did manage to do, and it just kind of went back and forth. Each man had their time in the sun with their striking. Each man had their time in the grappling. The greatest thing about this fight was the fact that no one could dominate the other guy for too long.
Right.
There was always a reversal, and there was a twist, and then all of a sudden the other guy was at the advantage for a bit. Like it just went back and forth,
Yeah.
and
Split
even at the end of the fight, where Oliveira had the Darce choke on Tsarukyan, but obviously wasn't on tight enough to actually put him out. And so, with the way that the fight ended, you could see why one of the judges had the fight for Oliveira, because of just the amount of submissions that he threatened with throughout the course of the fight.
Yeah.
But Tsarukyan was able to defend that, and yeah, Tsarukyan won the fight, but it was very close, very, very close fight.
Yeah, it was a heck of a fight. The thing about the guillotine choke that I thought he had it, and he was going to be able to either choke him out or force a tap, was it was so early on, and they were completely dry. They hadn't had much sweat on them at all, and usually that's just a recipe for disaster for the guy that's getting choked, because there's going to be no slippage of that underneath his chin. And Oliveira, such a skilled grappler, BJJ artist. But Tsarukyan comes from that American Top Team camp. He's been in a lot of those types of chokes over the years. He just looked comfortable. He looks like, oh yeah, this is fine. I can figure out this. I know how to get out of it. And just seemed patient, seemed like no panic, and just worked his way out of it. Both the guillotine choke early, the Darce choke late, and was able to not worry about it to the point where he tapped and was the loser. It's impressive to see how much maturity, how much know it all that he had, that just said, no, I can get out of this, and he did.
Yeah, no, it was impressive. The fact that he was able to get out of an Oliveira choke like that, where most anybody else wouldn't have been able to do that. But he fought hard. He fought so hard that he kind of almost lost his shorts. That's how hard he had to fight to get out of that choke.
Yeah. So he called out Islam Makhachev. I can see that happening. I definitely think that that's a realistic possibility. He's talking about maybe June or July coming next. He's on a 4-fight win streak, and definitely I think probably takes over Oliveira's #1 ranking when the rankings come out tomorrow. So seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, that would be the fight that makes sense. As he's already stated, his fight against Makhachev was hotly contested, and he took that fight on short notice.
Yeah.
So you take that in consideration. Yeah, man, him fighting him again this time around, it's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah, that was Arman's first fight in the UFC, super short notice, and he really gave Islam all he gave him his money's worth and all he was asking for. And so I think Tsarukyan has improved. I'm sure Islam has as well, but I look forward to a battle between both those guys. We talked about a lot of amazing matchups on this card, and we're really excited about a lot of them. There was 2 matchups that I thought were definitely not the greatest matchups. The skill level was not comparable, and this is this Bo Nickal Cody Brundage fight. I thought Cody was kind of the sacrificial lamb on the card, thrown in to get Bo Nickal another victory, and it kind of ended up being that way. Nickal goes and gets the rear naked choke victory and wins quite easily. To me, they should have given him a much tougher opponent.
Yeah. Like for me, like I said it right from the beginning that this was the weakest fight of the entirety of the card. This was by far the weakest fight of the entirety of the card. So weak, in fact, that I didn't think it should have even been on the main card.
Yeah.
Like, this fight should not have been on the main card. I know that they're trying to push Bo Nickal and all that stuff. And it's great. I love the fact that you're trying to push the young man.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. But he shouldn't have been on the main card. Sorry, man.
Yeah. Boxing has always done this where they just keep pumping a guy, trying to get him up to 20-0, 25-0, 30-0. And the UFC's been pretty good with not doing this very often. Nickal is so new into his career, only 6-0 now after this win, but this one just reeked of just pumping up a guy's record and pushing him forward. So yeah, I think you're right. It shouldn't have let off the main card and should have been down there. I do like what Nickal said after the fight, though. I'm only 28 years old. I'm here. I don't have a lot of the skill yet to contend for a belt. He said, I'm 6-0. I think I need to be 10-0, 12-0 before I'm even considered for a shot. And I'm glad he's being realistic about it.
No. That's because that makes sense. And he also, I think he realizes he's not at the skill level yet where he could threaten for the belt, anyways.
Yeah.
He knows that. He knows he needs more seasoning, so to speak. So, he's realistic. It's a good thing to see. But if they're gonna do this again on a fight of like a major card of this magnitude, I'm sorry, man, you can't put him on the main card. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I agree. He called out Anthony Fluffy Hernandez or Kopylov, and both those fights should be booked and make it happen. Okay, let's talk about the feature fight in the prelim card. As I mentioned earlier, Jiri Prochazka ended up winning $300K for his victory over Aleksandar Rakic. This was a light heavyweight battle that was kind of put on the card just in case somebody on the main event got injured and fell off. One of these guys could step in. As I mentioned earlier as well, Prochazka did fight Alex Pereira and did lose the title fight recently. So he's back in there against Aleksandar Rakic, another super tough guy that was really trying to emerge after a bit of not a lot of cage time recently. Rakic is super tough and had Prochazka in trouble, but Jiri just seemed to dismiss it, just seemed to just wade into the fire and just say, no, whatever you're bringing back, it's not taking me down. I'm taking you down. Had this incredible will and desire and got the victory in super impressive fashion.
Will of the samurai that Rakic said that he didn't have. Well, you know what, Rakic? I think he does have that.
Yeah.
He beat you.
I love
beat
it.
you up and he took you out. Like Rakic was fantastic at distance management, sniping Prochazka with his strikes and beating up both of his legs.
Brutal
with
leg kicks.
Devastating calf kicks. Devastating leg kicks. What he needed to do was just stay away from Prochazka. But what Prochazka basically said, well, you know what? I'm just going to have to depend on my power because I believe I have more power than Rakic has. And he did. And eventually he managed to hunt him down, land that big right hand, and just wailed on him until it was over. Like it was amazing because you saw just how much Prochazka wanted to win this fight and the will that he demonstrated to win this fight because he was losing and he was getting beat up.
Yeah, this was a hell of a comeback. I really thought he was in big trouble. Those leg kicks were taking their toll on him. He was having to switch his stances. He was having to try to push off on legs that were definitely damaged and compromised. Rakic set a career best with leg kicks and was really chopping him down. And you started thinking, wow, he will not be able to take too much more of this. And then his offense is going to be completely gone because he won't be able to push off. And all of a sudden, he was able to land some nice shots, landed a knee right to the face, and then came after him, dropped him, did some incredible ground and pound, and Herb Dean came in and stopped it. And he's number 2 in the rankings. Should be able to either challenge Pereira again or have an opportunity at a title eliminator fight. And and be right back in the mix. Yeah, awesome to see him back. To me, he's a samurai. I could read 50 pages out of samurai book and not be considered a samurai forever, but I think he can. I think he's definitely a guy that lives it and breathes it and has become a samurai.
Yeah, he's a samurai for sure. Because I can't do that. I can't do that. And I think, I don't know, 99.8% of the population on the planet can't either. So you
No.
know what that means? You samurai. You
Yeah.
samurai.
Okay, Aljamain Sterling. This is his featherweight debut. He came in, had an impressive performance against a really tough guy in Calvin Kattar. Got the decision victory. I thought he beat him easily. He was very fluid, and he just was able to keep getting him to the ground, dominating with the takedowns and on the ground control. And I liked the performance. Some people didn't because it wasn't a finish, but great to see him moving up to a weight class that he's better able to handle. And a nice win against a tough guy.
Oh yeah, and I thought he actually kind of looked a little bit bigger than Kattar, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And on top of that, his grappling, he dominated him in the grappling. Kattar had no takedown defense. Anything he tried did not work.
Yeah.
It did not work, and it ended up being just an easy night for Sterling.
Yeah.
An easy, dominating night for Sterling against the number 8 guy. So I'm pretty sure he took his 8th.
Yeah, and it's going to give him a ton of confidence, and it'll be nice to see a great matchup, a top 5 type of guy next for Aljo, and see him move up the ranks towards a featherweight title. Okay, this fight that came before that was also to me a mismatch. Holly Holm is an international boxing Hall of Famer. She's also a legend in MMA after beating Ronda Rousey, getting the belt, having a lot of success in her MMA career as well. But 42 years old, definitely not in the same type of class as Kayla Harrison. I thought that this was a mismatch too. I didn't like it when I saw it put together, and it turned out true. Holly also did not employ a very good game plan by clinching, trying to win a battle of grappling against Kayla Harrison, who's one of the best, if not the best in the world. And Kayla Harrison's debut went really well for her and not so good for Holly Holm.
First off, Holly, don't do that. Don't grapple with the best grapplers to ever have lived on the planet. Yeah. That's not a fight you're gonna win. It just isn't. It was impressive that she did reverse her, and then Kayla Harrison just reversed it back and stood up and then beat her up. So yeah, you got that one. You got Holly Holm. You got that. You got that under your belt. The thing that was the most shocking thing about Kayla Harrison was the size of that woman.
She's massive, yeah. Massive.
I'm like, we both commented. I'm like, she's a monster. Like she's gonna run through everybody in that division. Now, but that's also another problem. She is so muscular and she is so big. The fact that she was even able to make 135 is, well, I'm going to say this. It was utterly ridiculous. I didn't think that she could make it. I didn't think that she should have made it. And I don't think she should be fighting in that weight division. We saw what she looked like on the scale, like grim death, like real bad, like real bad. There's a point where I'm like, I don't know if the governing body should allow something like that.
Yeah.
Like if you look like that on the scale, you shouldn't be fighting at that weight. I'm sorry, man. There's got to be a line.
No, it's not good. It's too much, and I think the UFC can have special exceptions and have some fighters at a higher weight class than that. It wasn't good. It's not great. I'm amazed that she made that weight, and she did look terrible. I've seen worse. on the scale, but this was one of the worst. And yeah, it's she's too big of a human being to get to that weight. I think she said she was about 160 when she finally walked into the cage, which is pretty insane. And
Yeah.
yeah, so crazy, but great performance by her. I think
Yeah.
she's on a quick trajectory to a title.
You think?
Yeah, I think the current champion is Raquel Pennington, and I think she's going to fight Juliana Pena, which will be the next fight for both of them. Kayla will come in and likely face the winner between those two. And then I think she's going to be able to coax Amanda Nunes out of retirement and try to go after the greatest of all time.
Yeah, because there's talk about Amanda wanting now to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. Because it's almost as if Amanda just said, oh, wait, there's somebody I can fight.
Yeah.
I could, because she couldn't really fight anybody for years. I get it. But
Yeah.
now that Kayla Harrison is here, she's just like, I'd like to fight her. And
Yeah.
I would love to see that fight. So
Yeah.
if that fight does happen, first off, let's get Kayla Harrison to get her belt. You know, like I'm sorry, it doesn't matter whoever wins the belt. Like she's just going to take it. So
Yeah.
remember what I was telling you, where no, the fight shouldn't just happen. Just give her the belt. That's actually what
Yeah.
I still believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. By default, she wins. Everyone's too afraid of her. Hand her the belt. She's got it.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to fight. It's a walkover.
it's a walkover, and then Amanda Nunes can be like, "All right, let's make this fight happen."
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think if she does get the belt, which I think it's inevitable, I think that that fight, if Amanda comes back, biggest fight in women's combat history.
Yeah, I think no, without a shadow of a doubt, it's the biggest fight in women's combat history. But I also think that fight should actually happen at 145, where Amanda Nunes held the belt.
Yeah.
That's what I actually think. I think that
Yeah.
would be the best fight between the two of them.
Makes more sense to me, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, Diego Lopes had a very impressive early knockout against Super Sadiq Youssef. Lopes is incredibly tough. He was super excited, jumped over the cage, went right to Dana, tried to get 300K. He didn't get it, but he did get a bonus. It was crazy how he was able to just drop him. He dropped him with a left hook early, was able to drop him again, and then ground and pound, just flattened him out. Mark Smith came in early, stopped it. It was a minute. No, what was it? A minute? Yeah, a minute and a half. Bam. Quick work. Incredible performance. And Lopes, yeah, he was as excited as you're ever going to see.
Yeah, he was excited because he took out Sadiq Youssef, Super Sadiq Youssef, who is an incredible striker. He's an incredible striker, and he took him out in 90 seconds. All right.
Yeah.
So, like the dirty boxing, the uppercuts, the accuracy, the punches in tight, all on point. All
Yeah.
on point by Lopes. And Lopes is going to be a problem for that division going forward. He is that good. He is that skilled. Yeah. And he is extremely entertaining. He puts
Yeah.
on fantastic fights.
He called out Movsar Evloev, who he fought in May of 2023, UFC 288. It went to a decision. Movsar ended up getting it. Lopes was actually only brought in on 5 days' notice. It
Yeah.
was the fight of the night, and Movsar ended up getting the decision. He wants to run that back and try to get revenge with a full training camp. And I would sign up for that fight any day.
Yeah, that's a fight that they should make.
Yeah.
That's a fight that they should make because the young man has proved himself time and time again, especially when he has a full training camp.
Yeah. Yeah. He's great. And I look forward to seeing him again soon. He didn't take any damage and should be able to fight very, very quickly. we couldn't really hear Money Moicano's rant in the cage because so many bleeps were happening, but love it when he takes the mic. Very entertaining guy. Had to have a really tough battle against Jalen Turner. Looked like he was in trouble early, was able to come back and got the victory. And yeah, this is a guy that I think is going to be one of the most popular fighters in the sport. Once he learned English, he just doesn't want to stop. Has a lot of hilarious, funny things to say, and he's becoming one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, just I look forward to what he's going to say, because you don't know what he's going to say, but you know he's going to go off, and he's not going to answer Joe Rogan's questions because he doesn't care. Right? And he's just going to say a bunch of crazy stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that in this fight he faced real adversity.
Yeah.
Jalen Turner hurt him numerous times in this fight.
Yeah.
Numerous times in this fight. And he had to scramble, he had to scratch, he had to scrape, he had to just try to survive. And then through all of that, he finally gets the win. And Turner, actually, I thought he burned himself out.
Yeah.
He got tired. He tired himself out, and Moicano weathered the storm, managed to get the ground and pound victory. And it was a huge, huge win by Moicano, because we both thought that Turner was going to win this fight.
Yep.
With the leg kicks to the body that Moicano suffered, he was hurt to the body. He got dropped by a left hand in the first round too as well. Like, it was there. Moicano had to overcome a ton of stuff, but he did that, and then we got the benefit of hearing him on the mic. Yeah. Well,
kind of, yeah. Too many bleeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made a good point. I said, hey, why are they bleeping this? This is pay-per-view. And you said, not yet. This is still the prelims. This is actually on ESPN Plus. So, like, oh, yeah, great. Yeah, I wish it was on the pay-per-view and they wouldn't have had to bleep out anything. I think Turner learned a big lesson. Jump on a guy when you knock him down. He tried the walk-off, and all of a sudden Herb's like, no. Hey, I'm not stopping this. The guy's still there, and then turned around and tried to get at it, and he should have had the victory. I think if he jumps on him right then and there, started ground and pound, and landed a few more shots, I think he wins this fight. And him and his team are gonna have a lot of regret for doing that walk off and trying to get that 300K right then and there.
Yeah, man. Like, because that's the risk you run. That's the risk you run when you do that. You have to be really sure that your guy is done when you do that. When he did it, I'm sorry, man. I think he jumped the gun. He jumped the gun because his guy was definitely not done. And also, too, you have to take into account the guy who you're fighting. That guy's not just gonna lie down. If he can get up, he's getting up. Moicano is super tough.
Yeah, definitely super tough. And yeah, I guess they'll flip-flop rankings and Turner will fall out of the top 10. Hopefully he learns his lesson and never does that again. The women's strawweight fight between Jessica Andrade and Marina Rodriguez, the two Brazilians, back at it, and the pile driver Andrade getting the decision victory, a split decision. Really close, but yeah, my nod was 2-1 for Andrade. I thought she did enough. She was able to really just beat her up at a lot of moments through this fight, utilize her strength in grappling, and yeah, land a bit more of the telling blows, I thought.
Yeah, a bit more of the power strikes.
Yeah.
Rodriguez peppered her whenever they were on their feet. But when Andrade decided to get busy, she did with heavy strikes. A lot of hooks. And then she was able to get her to the ground and grapple her and get some ground and pound off. Super close fight, though. Very close fight. But Andrade edged her, I think, in the grappling and in the power shots.
Yeah, I see Andrade right at the top again in this division. Probably gets another title shot. One more fight. She's number 4 beating number 6, and always really good fights from Andrade. She is one of the toughest women in the world. Okay, we see a fight between two veterans in Jim Miller and Bobby Green. Jim Miller, the ultimate veteran, a guy that realized the dream that he had a long time ago. He fought on UFC 100, was able to fight on UFC 200 and get onto UFC 300. UFC 100 took place back on July 11th, 2009. UFC 200, July 9th, 2016, so almost 7 exact years. And then we're close to 8 years later, UFC 300. 40 years old, has fought in the UFC. This was his 44th UFC fight, and he was able to come in with all these records, tons of stuff, but had to face a guy in Bobby Green that was faster, had the skill to take him out, and holy cow, I don't know if I've ever seen Jim Miller get that beat up, have that much damage to his face. Bobby Green employed his style with his hands down, his movement, his crisp shots, and beat up Jim Miller. I felt a little bit bad for such a wily long-term veteran that's been looking great lately, and is one of those pioneers of the sport as well.
Yeah, definitely a pioneer of the sport, but so is Bobby Green. Bobby Green's been doing this for a long time, and it just showed that Green had the physical skills that just eclipsed what Jim Miller brought to the table.
Yeah,
faster, more accurate, great movement, hard to find, and then also too, I think Miller had a problem negotiating where the strikes were coming from because his hands are always down low. So, with that being said, Green beat him up, and in the end, kind of won this fight, going away pretty easy.
Yeah, Jim Miller, he's gonna take a while to recover. His face is beat up. He broke his finger, he said. I think he broke his face. His right eye was completely shut, said he couldn't see out of it. But he didn't quit, kept at him. And he'll need some time off of this one. Bobby Green looked impressive and keeps on moving forward. He called out Paddy Pimblett, wants to fight him on the Manchester card in July. And man, I'd sign up for that any day.
Yeah, no, I love the call out. I think from Paddy's last performance, he actually may be ready for Bobby Green.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a great fight. Yeah. It'd be a very great fight to see.
I'd love it. Okay, the last fight to cover, first fight of the night, the bantamweight battle between two former champions, Cody Garbrandt, champion in the bantamweight division, Davison Figueiredo, champion in the featherweight division, and Figueiredo just was a bit better on this night, got the submission victory late in the second round. Figueiredo was just controlling, was able to get the mount, was able to get the body triangle, get his back sunk in a rear naked choke, and just forced Cody Garbrandt to tap and pull out the victory. In a new division for Figueiredo, he's looking pretty impressive.
Yeah, he looked very impressive. Garbrandt looked good in the beginning, throwing out those leg kicks. He looked like the faster guy, but Figueiredo just exercised patience. Yeah. He just waited for his opportunity. And once he got him to the ground, basically he didn't waste any time in putting him away.
Yeah.
He really didn't. So
yeah, UFC 300 is going to go down in history as the greatest, one of the greatest, if not the greatest card of all time. You and I had the pleasure of that 7.5 hours of amazing fun, and definitely never going to forget Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, and what they brought Yeah, thanks again for having me over, and hopefully we can do something that amazing again. UFC 400 is too far away. Let's make it 310 or 320 or something soon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as long as it's a strong card, obviously, I'd love to have you over again because that was something I'll always remember. I will
Yeah.
always remember that. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming over.
Yeah, thanks. So we have a 1 week break from fights. The next fight goes Saturday, April 27th. Mateus Nickal against Alex Perez. Perez is coming in as the replacement on this one. And it was supposed to be Manel Top, but Perez is coming in. So we'll break that down next week. There was some UFC news that was given by Dana White in his post-fight press conference. The biggest news was they finally have a date for Conor McGregor's return, UFC 303, June 29th against Michael Chandler, and they're going to be fighting at 170 pounds. McGregor said 185 and teased that for a while, but it will be held at 170 June 29th. Long wait since they faced each other on the Ultimate Fighter, and they've been going back and forth. And finally, we only have a couple months to wait.
It took so long that I didn't think it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's how long it took. Like it took so long that I didn't think it was gonna happen. Um, yeah, I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad it is. But here's the thing. What do you think happens with Connor if he loses? Do you think he's done?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I
Yeah.
kind of doubt it. Yeah. I think he still moves the needle. He hasn't won much in the past 5, 6 years, and people still just want to see him. I mean, I think this Roadhouse movie that he's in, I think it's the most watched show on that streaming platform in the history of the channel. He just moves the needle, and I think he's still, yeah, will garner a lot of attention, and the UFC will keep giving him shots at selling pay-per-views and going up against other fighters. Yeah, I think he's going to be relevant for probably still 3, 4, 5 more years.
Which is just the weirdest thing. Where if you really think about it, this guy could possibly lose for 3 more years and still be like the most talked about fighter.
Yeah.
Odd. Very
Oh,
odd.
I
Well,
lost
oh,
the computer there.
oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
my side computer fell. But yeah, it is amazing. He's just a guy that it doesn't really matter if he wins or loses. He just keeps being able to fight, and I think the UFC keeps giving him shots.
Exactly. And the reason why, the real reason why, is he generates money.
Yeah,
He makes the UFC money.
true,
That's why he's allowed to do whatever he wants.
true.
That's why.
Yeah.
Hey, UFC, I don't want to take no drug test. You got it, Connor. You got
You got to change the USADA. He made
it.
them
Yeah,
change
exactly.
USADA. Like,
Exactly.
you
I don't want
know,
to do
yeah,
it.
he got Dana White to sanction a boxing fight. Like
Yeah.
Dana White said he loved boxing, but will never promote a boxing fight. I heard him say that many times over the year.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to get involved in boxing, and Connor convinced him to do that. Connor has changed the face and narrative of the sport, and he's still yeah, got that drawing power.
Now he still has that drawing power. And because he was able to do the boxing thing, and then others wanted to do the boxing thing, but all of a sudden Dana says, "You're not Conor McGregor, so you don't get to box." Right? Maybe that's exactly what he said to Ngannou. And Ngannou said, "Yeah, I think I'm still gonna do that."
Still gonna do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Funny.
Funny.
The other fights that he mentioned were on UFC 302, which will happen on June the 1st. The main event is Islam Makhachev against Dustin Poirier, and the co-main will be Sean Strickland against Paulo Costa. Two great fights that, I think that should be a heck of a great card at the top there.
Oh no, that's a great card. Those are great fights. Look forward to seeing all of that for sure.
And then a fight night between those two, June 22nd, Robert Whitaker against Khamzat Chimaev. Great fight to look forward to. And then our next UFC pay-per-view is UFC 301. It'll be the flyweight title fight between Alex Pantoja and number 10, Steve Erceg. Craziness. The return of Jose Aldo fighting Jonathan Martinez. We've also got Anthony Smith on that card, Michelle Pereira on that card, and Paul Craig. UFC 301, that takes place Saturday, May the 4th.
That's going to be a great card. I always love seeing Paul Craig, seeing what limb he's going to take home from his competitor. So yeah, going to be a great card.
Yeah. Okay, a few other sports we got to cover before we call it a night. The NBA finished their regular season yesterday. I tuned in. I couldn't believe how great this was going to be. There was 15 games. They had, I think, 6 early, 9 late. They were all at the same time, and I thought teams were just going to battle, and all these games were going to be amazing. I don't know what happened. I think a lot of teams were burnt out. Some teams rested their guys. There wasn't very many close games. It was blowout after blowout after blowout. The seeding was still up in the air, still really up in the air, especially in the Western Conference. 3 teams were tied at the top with exactly the same record, having opportunities to get that home court advantage throughout the whole entire Western Conference side. And it didn't deliver. It didn't deliver what I wanted, but it still ended up finally figuring out most of the seeding. We've got some playoff matchups to be able to break down a little bit. We've got all the details on the play-in tournament. And tell me about, did you get to see the highlights? Did you get to see all the different things that went on yesterday?
I saw some. But I like you, I was a little bit disappointed because I'm like, oh, blowout. Like the one team that I was the most disappointed in, super disappointed in, was the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
The Bucks, they got destroyed.
Killed. Beyond belief, killed. Yeah, just
killed.
Crushed. Yeah.
They got crushed.
Yeah.
And now when I look at their record and I think to myself, okay, so Doc Rivers came in. Did he make this team better?
No.
Or did he make them worse?
Way worse. They are 17 wins, 19 losses under Doc. When Adrian Griffin got fired, they were 30-15. So he made them worse. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. This guy's going to run them right out of the playoffs. And after they got beat last year and got knocked out by the Heat, and all of a sudden they made all these changes, you thought, okay, this team's going to take that next step and win a title again. And after Griffin just didn't kind of gel with the guys for some weird reason, they made the ridiculously stupid move of hiring Doc Rivers, and it's going to be one of the biggest mistakes they've ever made. I think they're going to implode. We're not going to see this team go very far. And to fall out of that second place that they were kind of set in for the entire season, bringing in Damian Lillard, Drew Holiday, all these guys. Sorry, not Drew, but all these guys. And holy crap, they have made a monumental mistake by hiring Doc and bringing him in. And I think, this team, they got beat 113-88 yesterday, trying to secure a spot and just getting absolutely smoked. It's ugly there. And I feel really bad for Giannis, who has, spent so much time trying to get those titles, get that recognition as being the greatest in the league, and he has to, just see another season go down the drain.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's just, at the end of the day, maybe they just should have stayed with the coach that got him to 30-50. Adrian Griffin. You may have not liked him. You may have not gotten along with him, but at least with him, you were winning.
Yeah.
Because with this dude that has been in the league for a long time and is, coached some people and stuff, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if he's very good. I don't know if he's actually very good because 17-19, that's not a great record.
No.
It's not a good record.
Terrible.
Terrible.
So they fell to number 3 in the East now, and they faced the number 6 Indiana Pacers. Pacers were the highest scoring team in the NBA. They've got some serious trouble for the Bucks. The Bucks actually put up 157 points yesterday on Atlanta, 157-115. I would be very scared of Tyrese Halliburton and all the killers on this team. I think the Bucks just will not be able to withstand that, especially Giannis. He's been banged up. He missed the last 3 games of the regular season, and I don't think he's going to be 100% healthy coming in. I think this Bucks team is ripe for the picking, and a big upset could be brewing right now.
Yeah, especially if Giannis misses a couple key games in this series, and then I honestly believe if he misses a significant portion of this series, the Bucks don't win this series.
Yeah,
I think they need him to win against the Pacers, and the Pacers are just going to keep coming at him in waves because that's what they've done all season. And so if the Bucks transition defense isn't on point, Pacers are going to beat them.
yeah,
They're going to beat them.
They will. The other on the Eastern side, the other playoff matchup that's been set is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They lost to the sad sack Charlotte Hornets yesterday.
Nice.
Ended up falling down to the 4 seed spot. Sorry, Charlotte Hornets fans, but they should not have beat Cleveland yesterday as Cleveland was trying to get up to a higher seed. They will host the number 5 Orlando Magic. Cleveland only won 1 more game than Orlando. Staggered down the stretch. They were only 4-6 in their last 10. Orlando were only 5-5. I think this is a very even matchup. Cleveland has Cleveland has 2 all-star guards and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley in the middle. I think they've got what they need to beat Orlando. Orlando, I think, has a lot of great young talent. I think they have emerged up there a little too soon for them to keep this roll going, but it could be a pretty entertaining series.
I think it's going to be one of the most entertaining series coming out of the East because of the one thing that Orlando Magic can definitely say that they can do against the Cavs, like they've done against every NBA team, is they can play defense.
Yeah.
They can play great defense. So I think if they can drag the Cavs into this defensive quagmire, what the Magic definitely can do, is they can win this series. The Magic can definitely win this series. I'm looking forward to seeing it because I think it's going to be a real battle. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle of these like 2 teams just trying their best to get through this first round. And but I like the Magic. I'm going to be honest. I like the Magic.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm picking Cleveland. I guess the only caveat I have is as long as Donovan Mitchell stays healthy. I think he missed 15 out of their last 21 games. And I think if he's healthy, I think Cleveland wins. If he's not, Orlando could take this. So, okay. Number 1 overall was Boston. It has been a runaway this entire season. Easily we're able to secure top spot. I think when you're running away with it that much, I think you start getting bored. I think you start getting complacent. I think you going into the playoffs, you're not battle tested, and they might be in a little bit of trouble. They will face the loser coming out of the play-in tournament, the 8th seed. We'll see who ends up emerging there. We'll talk about the play-in a second. last year, obviously, having to go up against Jimmy Butler and that, pretty interesting. The number 2 seed, Knicks, ended up Jalen Brunson threw everybody on his back, even without Julius Randle, was able to get the Knicks to the 2nd seed. I did not see that coming. I was pretty blown away. They really had tough battle against Chicago yesterday, which I wasn't expecting. Ended up having to win 120-119 in overtime. But Jalen Brunson, 40 points, was able to really will this team. Him and Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and the crew really have been able to keep this train rolling and get the Knicks up to number 2. They will look like they're probably going to face the Philadelphia 76ers, who have won 8 in a row, 6 since Embiid's coming back. Very tough matchup for them if that's the case. I think the collision course with Philly looks like Philly and New York.
Yeah, and that's going to be a great matchup because if Embiid doesn't get hurt, the Philadelphia 76ers are never going to be in 7. They're just not. That's not where they're supposed to be. So it's going to be a great matchup, and the 76ers can definitely beat the Knicks, especially if Embiid can stay healthy, which I believe he will be able to do for this first round. It's like Jalen Brunson will have to put on the Superman cape to get the Knicks past the 76ers.
Yeah. Yeah, with the Sixers, with Embiid back, they got Maxey, they got the veteran leadership of Kyle Lowry. They've got a lot of big pieces there, and sometimes when one of your top guys gets injured and you end up falling down to a low seed, it's happened with the Lakers before. They've fallen down to about the 8th seed, and we're able to pull off a title run. I think it's in it as long as Embiid can stay healthy. This should be a very, very, very tough matchup for the Knicks, but incredible that the Knicks were able to will themselves to a 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference after this entire season.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely incredible, especially with the fact that they're missing their 2nd leading scorer, Julius Randle, and they're still able to get the 2nd.
The Heat will play on Wednesday, the early game Wednesday for the 7-8 matchup. It's 76ers Heat in Philly. Jimmy freaking Butler makes this a little closer than it should be. I think 76ers are going to take this. Heat will have to end up playing the winner between the Hawks and Bulls in the 9-10 position.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think the 76ers beat the Heat. Probably be a close game, but then the Heat will have to play the winner of the Hawks and Bulls. And
yeah.
I
The Hawks
think
and Bulls both had pretty terrible years. They were way under 500. Really don't deserve to be there, but they'll get a shot. I think the Bulls will beat the Hawks, and then we'll see the Bulls and Heat to try to get that 8th position and have that opportunity at Boston.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. And whoever gets to play Boston, have fun with that. No problem. You're going to be swept in 4. So
yeah. So as I mentioned earlier in the West, yesterday there was 3 teams at the top. We had OKC, Minnesota, and Denver, all with the exact same records. After the dust settles, Oklahoma City ended up absolutely crushing Dallas, 135-86, getting the number 1 overall seed. I don't think anybody had OKC being able to be first overall in the Western Conference this soon. OKC was rebuilding up until super recently, has compiled the most number 1 overall draft picks in the history of the sport, and really started wondering what are they going to do. There was talk about getting rid of Shea and trying to keep bringing in these young talent, and all of a sudden, bam, they end up first overall in the conference and getting an opportunity to play a number 8 seed once that side of the play-in tournament is done.
Yeah, and the guy that was their missing piece that got them to this number 1 seeding was Chet Holmgren.
Yeah,
Chet Holmgren was the missing link, got them here to where they are now. and they are way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Way ahead of schedule. It's going to be great for OKC fans because now they're going to get to see this team succeed for a number of years going forward.
Yeah, that's true. So their matchup likely ends up being likely, I think, ends up being the Warriors. The Lakers and the Pelicans play the early game tomorrow for 4:30 tip off. It's in New Orleans, but the Lakers just beat the Pelicans yesterday and really looked very good doing so, convincing fashion. I think the Lakers end up winning that game, get the 7th seed. Pelicans will have to play the winner between the Warriors and the Kings. I think the Warriors beat the Kings. Warriors face the Pels, and I think the Warriors end up in that 8th position. They will have to face OKC in the opening round.
I think that would be for the best because it's old guard versus new guard. Yep. Like the new team, the young up and coming team against the guys that have been there before, battle tested. I hope that's the way it plays out because I'd love to see that series like that.
LeBron James was otherworldly yesterday. Mr. Glass, Anthony Davis, left the game again, and LeBron had to throw the team on his back. These are his stats yesterday. He had 28 points, 17 assists, and 11 rebounds. He had 13 assists in the first half. I think it was the most assists he's ever had in a half, and incredible performance, being able to put a pounding on the Pelicans, 124-108, without Davis, who had a good game early, scored 30 points, had 11 boards, but left again. And now you're wondering, is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be that good one game, bad the next? Does he have a running mate, or does he have to rely on himself and others? At this age, can he pull off another run?
It's going to be really hard. I think every year it gets a little bit harder for him to do it. Like he can definitely do it in spurts and in games, but he needs Anthony Davis to get there.
Yeah.
And he needs Anthony Davis to play well to get there. And if Anthony Davis is not around, I don't know if LeBron has it in him to just drag this team along anymore.
Okay, so Denver Nuggets ended up falling down to the 2nd seed. They await their opponent. I think it will be the Lakers. Bad matchup for LA against Denver. Denver has actually beat LA 8 games in a row, swept them last year in the playoffs. I don't think LA matches up very well with Denver. I think what really Denver's hoping is Jamal Murray can stay healthy. If he doesn't, I don't think they advance and win a 2nd straight title. If he stays healthy, I think they're definitely the front runner to me in the West that should be able to be in the final again.
Yeah, I agree with you on that because Joker's going to be Joker. He's going to be awesome, but he needs a Robin, and that Robin is Jamal Murray. And hopefully if Jamal is healthy, the Nuggets got a real good chance of repeating as champs.
Yeah.
Real good.
Okay, the number 3 seed ends up being the Minnesota Timberwolves. They ended up losing 125-106 to their first round opponent, the Phoenix Suns. Another good matchup for the NBA matchmakers, schedule makers. They kind of get a preview against their first round opponent. This game might have shown that Phoenix is a bit better. Minnesota finished 7 games ahead of Phoenix in the regular season, but this game really wasn't very close. The Suns were led by Bradley Beal with 36. Booker had 23. KD only had 15 points. Grayson Allen had a good game with 20. He also signed a contract today extension, 4-year extension for $70 million. No one on Minnesota really had a good game at all. Gobert led the team with 21 points, which isn't good. You don't want Gobert to be your top offensive guy. Conley had 17, and Ant-Man only had 13 points. Karl Anthony Towns and Naz Reid only had 10 each. Towns is still battling back from his injury, and we'll see how they come together. Phoenix has been playing pretty well their last little stretch, 10-4 in their last 14. But as I mentioned, T-Wolves did have a great year, 56-26. Their second best ever record in their 35-year history. Their best was when they had Kevin Garnett, 2003-2004, when they lost to the Lakers in the conference final. T-Wolves were 0-3 against the Suns this year, and they had their worst offensive game in one of those games, only 87 points, and their worst defensive game of the entire season. They gave up 133. So all signs point to Phoenix in this one. But what's your prediction?
I think that could be a very good possibility that this could be Anthony Edwards' coming out party.
Okay.
I think that this could be where he makes the leap and he shows that I am most certainly one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah.
And now in the playoffs, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I think this is his opportunity. And I just have a feeling that this is what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a great series, but I believe the Timberwolves will come out on top.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Nice prediction. Okay. I think Phoenix is going to take it. I think the big three there will be able to figure it out and get it. The other matchup that's set is the number 4 seeded LA Clippers hosting the Dallas Mavericks. LA only finished 1 game ahead of them in the regular season standings, but get the nod as the home team. First game goes Sunday, April 21st, best of 7. This is their 3rd battle in the past 5 years. LA has won both of the matchups so far, but I think this is Luka's coming out party. I think he's going to be able to finally get an opportunity at the Joker, and those two are going to go against each other eventually in the Western Conference Final. Dallas has just been phenomenal this year. I think they've been able to figure out this Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic thing, and got the size, got the speed, got the talent. I think they've looked phenomenal. They've won 16 of their last 17 when Kyrie and Luka are playing together on the court. And I do like LA with their Kawhi, PG-13, Harden, Westbrook, but Kawhi's been unhealthy as usual. He's missed his last 8 games with some knee inflammation, and you just never can count on this team being healthy, especially with all these old veterans that they have.
Yeah, and then also too, unfortunately, Harden will do some disappearing in the playoffs.
Yeah,
you can count on it. That's what happens with him. And you know who won't disappear in the playoffs? Luka.
right.
Luka's not going to disappear, and I don't think either is Kyrie. So my prediction, I agree with you. I think the Mavs beat the Clippers in this first round. The Clippers showed that they can play well, but down the stretch they did not. They did not play like they did in the beginning of this year, like in January, February, where they were on fire. So yeah. I think the Mavs take it. I think the Mavs beat the Clippers in the first round.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I agree. So as I mentioned, play-in tournament starts tomorrow. Pelicans host the Lakers, the early game. Kings host the Warriors in the late game. On Wednesday, the second set of the Eastern Conference play-in games, the 76ers host the Heat and the Bulls host the Hawks. Then the 8-9 matchup ends up happening on Friday. Those games are yet to be determined in times. The playoffs officially start round one on Saturday. The Knicks will host the 7th place team. The Nuggets also on Saturday will host that 7th place team. T-Wolves and Suns play on Saturday. Cavaliers Magic play on Saturday. Then turning to Sunday, Thunder will host the game. Celtics will host the game. And then the Bucks will host the Pacers, and the Clippers will host the Mavericks. So fantastic games ahead. Really super excited and looking forward to all the matchups, and can't wait to break it down with you. I'm sure we'll text a bit throughout some of these incredibly fun games. There was a really weird occurrence that happened on Saturday in the Lakers game. They were playing Memphis, and the Lakers were up big time, and there was a shot clock violation with approximately 2 minutes and 20 seconds. No, sorry, with 1 minute and 14 seconds left. There was a shot clock violation. They blew the whistle, and then they shot over or yelled over to start the clock again. For some reason, the clock went back to 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and nobody noticed. And so they ended up playing a whole extra minute and 6 seconds, and Memphis almost came back and won that game and could have pushed LA actually down farther in that play-in tournament. And I was shocked and stunned to see that, to hear about it, and to realize that nobody noticed in the entire place. And the strange thing was Memphis had 13 guys missing off the roster. They were pulling in guys from all over. They had Jack White in there, and the last time I checked, Jack White is the guitarist and lead singer for the White Stripes. They pulled him onto the court. They must have pulled the timekeeper on to put a uniform on him, sat him down, and his replacement really messed up somehow. But maybe he was a homer, and he's like, "Hey, I might be able to put some extra time on. Grizzlies can make this comeback." I don't know how this happens in a game when there's 20,000 people in the stands, tons of officials, the coaches, all the players. Nobody noticed. How bizarre was that?
That is super bizarre. Unless you're a gambler and be like, "No, I need this. That's cool. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy was, holding a gun next to the scorekeeper. Okay, change the clock. I need more time. I got the over on this one. Like, so bizarre, so weird. An extra 1 minute and 6 seconds, and so strange. Some stats came out too about the NBA. Actually today, they had 872 sellouts in the NBA this year. Total attendance was 22,536,000 and change. 98% capacity in the games. The average attendance was 18,322, and they beamed it to some of the games to 150 countries around the world. The popularity is growing immensely. 10 teams this year sold out every single solitary game they had. 10 whole franchises. The NBA is on fire, and obviously people are loving it.
Yeah, it's never been in a better state, and it's as strong as it's ever been.
Boston, Cleveland, Philadelphia, and Miami in the East, all 41 home games sold out. In the West, Denver, Minnesota, Dallas, Phoenix, Sacramento, and Golden State, all completely 100% sold out for their games. So great news for any NBA fans and for the league as a whole. Okay. NHL regular season ends this week, down to the last nitty gritty and few games. No matchups have been really figured out except for one. The Winnipeg Jets and Colorado Avalanche will battle in the first round. They played on Saturday and Winnipeg won 7-0. So that might be a harbinger of things to come. Adam Lowry and Sean Monahan both had 2 goals. Connor Hellebuck had 30 saves for the shutout. And the Jets end up looking like they're going to have the home ice advantage, which will help them. And that 7-0 game, wow, that's got to give them some confidence going in.
That should give them a ton of confidence. It should give them enough confidence to know that we can take this team. We can take this team and we can move on.
I was blown away. Winnipeg had a swoon recently, and they didn't look good at all. And started wondering what was happening with them, but looks like they've definitely turned things around and looking good. So in the Western Conference, the best team looks like it's going to be Dallas, that finishes number 1 overall. They're going to face the number 8 seed, which is the lowest wild card team, and that's between Vegas and LA. It's looking like the Kings are currently in the front running seat there. They are 1 point ahead of Vegas, and they have just 2 games left. Vegas only has 1. Oh no, Vegas has 2 also. Vegas plays Chicago and Anaheim. LA plays Minnesota and Chicago. And then the Canucks front runners in the Pacific, they look like they're going to get second place in the conference. And it's looking more and more and more every day like Nashville is the Canucks opening round opponent. So that's great. I'm excited. I think that would be an amazing outcome. And it'll be fun for a lot of Canuck fans that want to travel. Nashville's a super fun place. They really rally around their team in the playoffs, and I think it's a good matchup for the Canucks.
I think it's the best matchup that they could have asked for the first round for the Canucks, because it's a winnable matchup.
Yeah. First playoff game I heard today for the Canucks. I don't think it's 100% set in stone, but it looks like it's going to be Tuesday, April 23rd, a week from tomorrow. And then I would assume that it'll be a day off. They'll have the second game Thursday, and then they'll head to Nashville for the next weekend. So, yeah, you know where I'll be a week from tomorrow. Can't wait. It's going to be exciting to be there. 9 years we've been waiting for home playoff dates here, and the fans are going to be rabid.
No, the fans are going to be rabid, man. The place is going to be rocking, and it's just going to be nice to see the Canucks back in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mentioned Dallas. They will be playing either Vegas or LA. That's who the Oilers will play. Whoever Dallas doesn't play, Oilers will end up being set in second place in the Pacific, and they will host the Kings or the Golden Knights. In the East, it looks like the Rangers will be the number 1 seed. They are just slightly ahead of Carolina, but it looks like they have the inside track to win. They were able to beat Ottawa today, and I think that was a 4-0 defeat of Ottawa. So it looks like the Rangers will be number 1 seed. Bruins number 2 seed, and I think the Bruins ended up winning. No, the Bruins ended up losing today to the Capitals. So we'll see how it plays out. Carolina still has an opportunity there. Lots to be figured out. It's crazy. It does look like the Leafs will play probably the Panthers in the first round, but still lots to sort out. The Islanders got a big victory today that guaranteed them a playoff spot. There's still 3 teams trying to battle for that last spot in the East. The Red Wings, the Capitals, and the Penguins. It looks like right now Washington has the inside track, but Red Wings are right there. Pittsburgh had a really tough loss against Boston on the weekend that seems to maybe have sunk their hopes. They did win today against the Predators 4-2, but being 1 point back with only 1 game left might be too much. So Anyway, we'll be able to break down a lot of the matchups and that in our next podcast. And yeah, going forward, I can't wait for the playoffs. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be so many, yeah, phenomenal matchups. Great teams this year, and yeah, it's going to be fun. I want to give a big shout out to Scottie Scheffler, who won the Masters on the weekend. Incredible run he's been on. You and I have been talking about him so much lately. Out of his last 4 tournaments, he's won $15 million. He's won 3 of them and finished second in the other. Absolute incredible run. $3.6 million check he signed for over the weekend. And as I said, $15 million. I looked up Arnold Palmer's career earnings. He won $2,130,000 in his entire career. He won 95 times in his career. He did win another 2.2 million on the senior tour and 2.5 million internationally. But on the PGA tour, he just won a little over 2 million bucks in his entire career. And Scheffler in one tournament won 3.6. So pretty crazy how the money's changed. When Arnold Palmer passed away in 2016, his estimated net worth value was $875 million, though. So the guy knew how to make money off the course. One of those first guys that was able to figure out how endorsements can really break you to the stratosphere. He was able to design 300 golf courses and was able to get money coming in. He actually made $40 million last year, and he's been dead for 7 years. So, actually about 8 years now. So, incredible. I hope Scottie Scheffler figures out how to make that kind of money off the course. All the money he's making on the course is great, but obviously Arnold Palmer figured out how to make hundreds of times more money off the course.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sure these guys, they're smart enough to know that these opportunities are there. They're afforded to them. Palmer opened the way, opened the gates for them to figure this out. So they're going to be fine going forward.
Yeah, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out. Oh, yeah. Oh, I wanted to mention Scottie Scheffler's caddy. That guy's pulled in at least $1.5 million. Before he got this caddy, Ted Scott is his name. He had 62 starts before signing on. He had 0 wins and 17 top tens. Since Ted Scott came onto his bag, he's had 53 starts, 9 wins, and 34 top tens. So he's earning his money and really helping Scheffler, #1 in the world, and continuing to win these huge tournaments.
That's great. That's exactly what you want your caddy to do for you, which is to make you better, which is obviously what he's done.
A huge win yesterday for the Canadian women's hockey team. They won their 13th gold medal at the World Championships. Incredible 6-5 overtime victory. They got over the Americans. Canadians have the most ever gold medals in the tournament, 13. Also 13 silver and 1 bronze. The US have 10 gold, 13 silver, and no bronze. And Finland, 1 silver, 14 bronze out of that tournament. The WNBA draft was held today. Caitlin Clark went #1 overall, like everyone expected, to the Indiana Fever. They were able to get her with the #1 overall pick. And Indiana Fever merchandise is going to go through the roof. They're going to start selling massive amounts of tickets, getting a lot of viewership. The value of their franchise just went up exponentially, and it's going to be great to see her in May being able to play in the pros and start putting a lot more eyeballs on the sport.
Oh yeah, definitely. She's definitely going to do that. And I wanted to mention who went number 2. And the number 2 pick was Cameron Brink, I believe, from UConn,
Mm.
who, I didn't know this, is the goddaughter to the Currys.
Yeah, Steph and Seth Curry. Yeah, I did hear that.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, that is actually pretty awesome. That is very cool that both families are that close. And I just wanted to mention that because she's an excellent basketball player and she's going to do great things in the WNBA as well.
I heard that she's definitely the best defensive player out of the draft, and was the best defensive player coming out of college. And yeah, she's been able to actually elevate her offensive game as well. But incredible that yeah, the goddaughter was able to become the number 2 overall pick.
No, it absolutely incredible. And then I saw a little bit about how much Caitlin Clark's going to make as the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money. It just isn't. It it's it's amazing, but at the same time, you know what? I think she's going to be able to push it up. I think she's going to be able to push the amount of money that these players can earn because she's now in the league.
Yeah.
So,
Um, Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso were both able to go to Chicago. That was huge. And Canadian Aaliyah Edwards was picked 7th overall. Incredible to see her. She was able to go to Washington out of UConn. And Angel Reese, yeah, was able to go with Cardoso. So Chicago was able to get 2 really huge talents in Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso.
yeah, and they're going to be so much better off for having those 2 on the team.
And today was Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball. Always a fantastic day. Every single player wears Jackie Robinson's 42 on their back to honor the guy that broke the color barrier. And I love that MLB does that every year. I think it's such a cool tribute. A lot of sports just tribute the players and retire their number. I really love that every single solitary player wears his numbered on the day like today.
As they should, because he meant that much to the sport, period.
Yeah. MLS, the Vancouver Whitecaps ended up losing to the LA Galaxy 3-1 on the weekend. Galaxy is first, Vancouver is second. On the other side, the New York Red Bulls are first in the East, followed by Inter Miami. Miami did win on the weekend 3-1, and Messi ended up scoring. Suarez ended up scoring, and they sit second in the in the conference there. So I think that's it, man. I think we have covered the weekend of sports, and it's late. We're gonna have to call it a night. So thanks so much. Thanks again. Great weekend. Great to see you. And yeah, I hope you have a nice chill week ahead. I heard the weather's supposed to be getting really nice, and yeah, we're gonna be treated to a great week. And we got a bit of a break next coming weekend. No UFC, just basketball to check out.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to just, you know what, posting up and just watching basketball
Yeah.
all weekend. It's gonna be great.
Okay, buddy. Thanks again. All the best.
All right, man. We take it easy. We'll talk later.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Cheers. Bye for now. All right. Well, yeah, it's late, so it's time to say goodnight. Thanks so much for sticking in. Love you guys as always. Appreciate your support. Want to thank Anchor.fm for all their support. Want to thank Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company. Pampas and Possibilities for the possibilities of your home, and Forever Living, the Oliveira company for health and beauty products. You guys rock. Thanks so much for all the support. Love you forever, and we will talk soon. Take care, and bye for now.